What if I told you that the most powerful man in America just betrayed his biggest promise, and his own supporters are burning his merchandise in the streets? We are talking about the Epstein file, which Donald Trump promised to reveal after winning the election. In 2019, a federal judge ordered the release of court documents that would expose over 150 powerful people connected to one of the most disturbing criminal networks in modern history. The name at the center? Jeffrey Epstein, a college dropout who became one of the most connected men in America, built a $500 million fortune through mysterious means, and operated a systematic trafficking ring for decades while rubbing shoulders with presidents, princes, and billionaires. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just any billionaire. This man had a private Caribbean island, flew the world's most powerful people on his private jet, and somehow built a financial empire that only accepted clients worth over $1 billion. Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, and yes, Donald Trump himself. But here's where it gets sinister. In 2005, the first cracks appeared. Underage victims came forward. A grand jury heard testimony about a 14-year-old girl. The evidence was overwhelming. Police identified over 30 victims in 2005, but investigative journalist Julie K. Brown later found evidence of approximately 80 girls abused just in Palm Beach alone. And that's only what we know about. Yet, Epstein walked free. How? A secret plea deal with prosecutors. Just 13 months in a cushy jail. Case closed. Plot twist: the prosecutor who gave Epstein that sweetheart deal? Alex Acosta. Trump later chose Acosta as his labor secretary. Now we need to discuss the core of Epstein's crimes. From the mid-1990s through the 2000s, Epstein operated a systematic trafficking network, primarily from his Palm Beach mansion, a $4.4 million, 14,000 square foot oceanfront property. The operation was methodically designed. Epstein and his associates targeted vulnerable girls from broken homes, foster care, and trailer parks, girls they knew wouldn't be believed by authorities. The recruitment system worked like a pyramid. Girls were paid $200 for massages. They received another $200 for each new girl they brought. The cycle continued, creating a constant supply of victims. Even before Epstein's first arrest, there were attempts to expose him that mysteriously failed. In 2002, sisters Maria and Annie Farmer reported their abuse to the FBI and spoke with Vanity Fair journalist Vicky Ward. They provided detailed accounts of how Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell had assaulted them. Ward was writing a profile of Epstein for Vanity Fair. You'd think she'd expose him, right? Instead, the 2003 article titled "The Talented Mr. Epstein" was a glowing puff piece calling Epstein charming and describing him as having something innocent, almost childlike, about him. The abuse allegations completely omitted. Ward later blamed her editor, saying the magazine succumbed to Epstein's intimidation tactics. But Maria Farmer claims Ward actually betrayed them, telling Ghislaine Maxwell over drinks that the sisters had gone to the FBI. This pattern of media protection would continue for years. How does he dodge serious prison time with mountains of evidence against him? How does he party with presidents, princes, and prime ministers? Answer: he had something on all of them, and someone wanted him dead before he could talk. Fast forward to 2019, when a leaked video showed ABC journalist Amy Robach venting her frustration during a commercial break. She revealed that ABC had killed an exclusive interview with Epstein victim Virginia Roberts back in 2015. ABC chose access to the British royal family over exposing a trafficking ring. Virginia Roberts had provided photos, evidence, and corroborating witnesses, but the story was buried to protect relationships with powerful people. This brings us to Prince Andrew, Queen Elizabeth's son and one of Epstein's most notorious associates. Virginia Roberts alleged under oath that Epstein and Maxwell trafficked her to Prince Andrew 3 times in 2001 when she was 17, in New York, London, and on Epstein's private island. She was reportedly paid $15,000 for at least one encounter. After Epstein's 2019 arrest, Prince Andrew agreed to a BBC interview to clear his name. It became one of the most disastrous PR moves in royal history. When asked about the allegations, Andrew claimed he doesn't sweat due to a medical condition. Roberts had mentioned his sweating. He couldn't have been in London that night because he was at a Pizza Express in Woking. A famous photograph of him with Roberts might be fake. Most bizarrely, he admitted to visiting Epstein in 2010, 4 years after his conviction, claiming he needed to break up their friendship in person because doing it over the phone would be the chicken's way. The interview was so damaging that Andrew's communications secretary quit immediately after it aired. In July 2019, federal agents finally arrested Epstein on charges of sex trafficking minors. During raids on his properties, they found a fake passport with a Saudi Arabian address, thousands of photographs of young women, evidence of the systematic nature of his crimes. For the first time in decades, it seemed like Epstein would face real justice. Prosecutors estimated he had abused dozens of girls and built a network that reached the highest levels of American and international society. But on August 10, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. Officials ruled it suicide. But here's what doesn't add up. The CCTV cameras mysteriously malfunctioned that night. His cellmate was removed just 1 day before his death. The guards on duty have never given clear answers. An independent forensic expert concluded homicide. The neck injuries suggested strangulation. And now, the smoking gun the government just released this week, there's exactly 1 minute missing from the prison footage. 1 minute, during the most important night in modern American history. Epstein didn't just exploit children, he recorded everything. Flight logs, guest lists, compromising evidence on the world's most powerful people. This wasn't just trafficking. This was industrial-scale blackmail. For years, Donald Trump stood on stages across America, promising his supporters one thing: I will drain the swamp, I will expose the truth, I will release Jeffrey Epstein's client list. The crowd would roar. They believed. They waited. But now, Trump's own FBI director, Kash Patel, the man who called releasing these files his life mission, has gone silent. Attorney General Pam Bondi claimed the list was on her desk just yesterday. Today, it vanished into thin air. Trump's response: stop talking about Epstein. There are other issues to discuss. Trump supporters aren't just angry. They're burning their red caps in the streets, calling for resignations. The movement that supported him is turning against him. But why the sudden change? Also, Elon Musk made a significant claim on social media. Trump's name is in the Epstein files. This revelation provided context for Trump's change in position regarding the files. But investigation goes deeper. Conspiracy researchers have uncovered something significant. Jeffrey Epstein may have been working for Israeli intelligence, the Mossad. His partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, her father was also connected to Mossad and also died under mysterious circumstances. Questions arise. Why does America give Israel billions of dollars annually? Why do American politicians often prioritize Israeli interests? What if blackmail is involved? What if Epstein's island wasn't just about exploitation, but about creating an intelligence operation to influence American leadership? The timing raises eyebrows. The DOJ released their memo just hours after Netanyahu visited the White House. The investigation reveals more concerning details. Meet Alexis Wilkins, the 26-year-old girlfriend of FBI Director Kash Patel. Internet investigators discovered that Wilkins previously worked for a company run by former Israeli military officers. This raises questions about potential conflicts of interest. Is foreign influence affecting America's top law enforcement official? Could this explain the reluctance to release the Epstein files? Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein maintained a relationship spanning over 15 years, particularly from the late 1980s through the early 2000s, before a reported falling out around 2005. This association has drawn significant scrutiny due to Epstein's later conviction for sex trafficking. In a 2002 New York Magazine profile, Trump praised Epstein, calling him a terrific guy who likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. This statement sharply contrasts with Trump's 2019 claims from the White House that he was not a fan of Epstein and barely knew him. According to Alan Dershowitz, who represented both men, their acquaintance was such that if you didn't know Trump and you didn't know Epstein, you were a nobody in certain social circles. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's associate, reportedly kept numerous phone numbers for Trump and frequently invited him to events. Epstein also allegedly claimed to have introduced Trump to Melania, though this is unverified. A widely circulated video from a Mar-a-Lago party shows Trump and Epstein interacting animatedly, contradicting Trump's later attempts to distance himself. They also reportedly held a private party in Palm Beach with 28 women and only themselves as men, an event for which George Horaney, who supplied the women, claims he warned Trump about Epstein's proclivities toward young women. This also conflicts with later claims by Trump campaign officials that Trump stopped associating with Epstein due to finding him too creepy. Journalist Craig Unger reported that an anonymous associate of Epstein claimed Epstein showed him photographs, one allegedly depicting Trump with a topless young girl, and another with two girls pointing to what appeared to be a semen stain on Trump's pants. These photos have not been publicly released. Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's brother, stated that Jeffrey had cryptically commented in 2016 that if he revealed what he knew about both presidential candidates, they'd have to cancel the election. The friendship reportedly ended around 2005, primarily due to a real estate dispute over a 65,000 square foot property in Palm Beach. Epstein reportedly threatened to sue Trump after Trump outbid him for the property. Epstein himself allegedly believed that Trump was the one who tipped off Palm Beach police about his activities as retaliation for the real estate dispute. However, authorities have stated their investigation into Epstein began based on reports from young girls in the community. Another question that always seeks an explanation is, who built Jeffrey Epstein? Intelligence veterans point to two possibilities. Theory 1. State-sponsored access operation. You can't recruit a president directly, but you can recruit the guy who parties with presidents. That's classic intelligence tradecraft, an access operation. The clues point in multiple directions. Epstein's flight logs show same-day trips between Russia, Israel, and other countries, movement patterns suggesting diplomatic immunity. His father-in-law figure, Robert Maxwell, died while under investigation as a long-time Israeli intelligence asset. Contractors who installed cameras in Epstein's townhouse told reporters they were from an Israeli security agency. If a foreign intelligence service is collecting blackmail on US leaders, the CIA's first instinct isn't outrage, it's, do we already have a copy? Theory 2. Independent blackmail broker. Picture Epstein as a freelance intelligence contractor. Royal family videos go to one buyer. Silicon Valley footage goes to another. Political leverage sold by the terabyte. Epstein didn't care who the customer was as long as they wrote the check. Governments, hedge funds, opposition researchers, you name it. An investigation performed by Wired in 2024. They discovered something chilling. Precise location data from nearly 200 phones that visited Jeffrey Epstein's private island. We're talking centimeter-level accuracy. Every step, every building, every route. This wasn't some FBI operation. It was commercial surveillance data sitting unprotected on the internet. Between 2016 and 2019, even after Epstein's conviction for soliciting minors, the data shows a steady stream of visitors to Little St. James. Wealthy elites weren't deterred by his criminal record. The tracking didn't stop at the island. It followed visitors home, to luxury estates in Martha's Vineyard, gated communities in Michigan, even outside Trump Tower in New York. Here's what's terrifying. This data came from everyday apps on these visitors' phones. The same advertising ecosystem that shows you targeted ads was creating a detailed surveillance network. But here's the strange part. 0 data points from Europe, despite Epstein's known European connections. Why? Europe's privacy laws actually work. GDPR forced companies to stop this surveillance there. Meanwhile, in America, your location is for sale. If you think your movements are private, think again. Every app, every location service, every accept cookies creates a digital shadow that follows you everywhere. President Trump is under pressure to release related files. And even though Epstein is no longer alive, the paper trail can still provide proof. Evidence point 1. New Mexico County permits show Epstein built a helipad engineered to Pentagon specifications. Massive overkill for private use, but perfect if you want government aircraft coming and going off public radar. Evidence point 2. Guest lists show at least 6 researchers holding active Pentagon or DARPA grants visited Little St. James. Epstein wasn't just collecting playboys. He was targeting scientists working on classified government projects. Evidence point 3. Both JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank compliance teams flagged Epstein's offshore wire transfers for review years before his arrest. The alerts went upstairs. The accounts stayed open anyway. Someone kept moving the safety net to wherever Epstein fell. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's partner, now serving 20 years in prison, has reportedly offered to reveal information if Congress provides her a deal. This could mean names, details, and documentation of activities. A revelation that could impact numerous political careers. But questions remain about who has the authority to prevent such disclosures. When officials face scrutiny, they often redirect public attention. Trump has already begun targeting Iran. Some observers question whether international conflicts might serve to shift focus away from domestic controversies. How might foreign policy be influenced by domestic political pressures? The Jeffrey Epstein case isn't just about one man's crimes. It's about a system that protects the powerful while silencing the vulnerable. And until we reckon with that truth, we haven't learned the real lesson of this story. The ongoing investigation continues to raise important questions. Questions about transparency in government, about institutional accountability, about the influence of foreign intelligence on domestic policy.